Good day, everyone. Today, I would like to share with you the story of a Malaysian woman whose life experience perfectly illustrates what bilingualism really is and why it matters. But first, let's understand the term itself. Bilingualism simply means being able to use two languages. This doesn't mean that you have to be equally good at both. Some people are what we call active bilinguals. They are fluent in reading, writing, speaking, and listening in both languages while others are passive or receptive bilinguals, which they might be able to speak a language but not read it very well. What's important is that they can use each language for specific purposes. Language use can also vary depending on culture, identity, and social setting, often leading to one dominant language. In Malaysia, bilingualism is extremely common. Our multiracial and multilingual society means that many of us grow up speaking at least two languages, often a mother tongue like Malay, Mandarin, or Tamil, alongside with English. At home, it's also common to mix languages and code switch naturally in conversations, which create an environment where bilingualism easily thrives. One person who reflects this is Miss Nurshada binti Muhammad Zamrizal, a 24-year-old bilingual woman. She grew up in a dual language household where Malay was used daily, but English was always present. In her own words, and I quote, "My mom, she uses English, and the media that my family gives to me since I was a kid, it was all in English language." According to her, she was never really formally taught in either language, it just happened naturally. Over time, English became her preferred language for self expression, and she admitted, and I quote, "There are times when I express my thoughts and my emotions, but I find it cringe or weird when using Bahasa, but I don't feel the same feeling when I'm using English." Discomfort with English also comes from her love for English language media, especially for superhero films, which she feels are better structured and more expressive than their Malay counterparts. Today, English plays a dominant role in her professional life as an English teacher. She explained, and I quote, "It would be weird or improper if an English teacher uses Malay to speak and communicate with the students." But even though English is central to her work, she values Malay as the national language and prefer to use it in the right context. For her, being able to switch between languages depending on the situation is not just useful, it is a skill every bilingual should have.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdul Raza. So I am going to talk on professional life, media influence, and the second slide will be background and early exposure. So based on the interview with No Shuhada, we found out that No Shuhada works as an English teacher. This role naturally requires her to use English as a main medium of communication on a daily basis, both in formal and informal interaction with colleagues and students. Because English dominates her professional space, the use of Malay has become minimal. Over time, this reduced exposure has made Malay feel secondary for her, even to the point where she perceives it as a submissive language in her daily life. So when it comes to the media and entertainment, her preferences lean strongly toward English. She estimates that about 70% to 100% of the media she consumes, whether it's television shows, movie, music, or online content, is in English. One of the main reason uh, is that English media provides her with a richer content. The humor resonates more with her, and also the vocabulary and genres feel broader and the cultural references are more relatable. In contrast, Malay media often mix languages and borrow slang such as kepo from Indonesia language, which make it feel less authentic and less engaging to her. As a result, She feels that English media offers a more genuine and stimulating experience that align better with her personality and interests. Moving to the next slide, which is background and early exposure. Looking at her background, no Shuhada was not formally taught any particular language at home. Instead, she grew up in a bilingual environment where both English and Malay were part of her everyday surroundings. Her mother primarily spoke English with her, which gave her consistent exposure to the language from early age. In addition, English media, such as television shows and cartoons, plays a significant role in shaping her language development. This influence laid the foundation for her comfort and fluency in English from a very young age. So, when it comes to the language preferences, over time, she found herself increasingly drawn to English. Not only did her fluency in English grow stronger, but also the develop but she also developed a deeper emotional connection to the language, where she expressed her thought and emotion in English, and it feels more natural and effortless, while doing it in Malay can sometimes feel awkward or even cringe to her, largely because she does not practice Malay as much in daily life. This lack of practice has created a subtle distance from Malay, whereas English has become the language through which she connects most authentically with herself and with others. That's all for me, so we move to the next presenter. Thank you so much.
A very good afternoon. Today I will be presenting how language difference have influenced the vocabulary skills of Miss Noor Shuhada based on her interview. We will also connect this to psycholinguistics in education, which studies how language is acquired, processed, and used in a learning context. So for formal writing, Miss Noor Shuhada feel more confident in English because she was exposed to English essays and documents from a young age. This connects to the psycholinguistic idea of language transfer and automatization. The more we practice writing in a specific language, the more natural its grammar and structure become. In educational context, this show why early exposure to academic writing in a target language is essential to develop strong literacy skill. Follow up to the vocabulary difference. She admits her Malay vocabulary is smaller than her English vocabulary. For example, she didn't know the Malay word serentak in preschool, even though she already knew its English equivalent. This reflects the input hypothesis by Gresham, where exposure through media increase vocabulary acquisition. In education, this means teachers should provide rich and meaningful input in both language so students can balance their vocabulary growth. She also finds English expression more emotionally powerful. For instance, this too shall pass feels stronger compared to its Malay transition. Psycholinguistically, this related to emotional resonance in bilingualism. Our dominant language carries stronger emotional weight in education. This means teachers should be aware of how language choice affects students' emotional engagement, motivation, and identity formation. In conclusion, Noor Shuhada case show how early exposure media and professional environment shape a language dominance. English became a stronger language in speaking, writing, and vocabulary, while Malay remains important for identity but it's less developed. Psycholinguistically, this highlights the critical period of hypothesis where early exposure influenced long-term dominance and also show how language environment affect proficiency. In education, the implication is that consistent exposure, meaningful input, and opportunities for practice are crucial to developing balanced bilingualism. That's all from me. Thank you.
First of all, from her experience, language switching was never something formally taught to her. She didn't grow up with anyone saying that she need to mix Malay and English together. Instead, it happened naturally at home and with her friends. In her words, it's simply part of how she communicates and how the other people around her communicate with her. Research also supports this. In Malaysia, code switching is a common and natural part of communication, not something that learned in a classroom, but something picked up in everyday life. Next, she mentioned that people generally react positively when she switches languages, whether in a casual conversation or even some formal setting. Nobody seems shocked or uncomfortable. In fact, switching is so common here in Malaysia that it feels completely normal. Now, about the benefit of being bilingual, she sees it as a big advantage. For her, Malay is more than just a language, it is her mother tongue, her connection to her cultural roots, and part of her identity. On the other hand, English opens up opportunities in education, careers, and even in enjoying entertainment from all around the world. Being fluent in both gives her more ways to express herself and connect with different communities. She also gave a really clear example of how switching can help express meaning more precisely. Sometimes there's no single word in Malay that captured the feeling she wanted to describe. For instance, she preferred using the English word overwhelmed because Malay alternative like rasa terbeban or terlalu banyak untuk saya lalui are longer and don't fully capture the exact emotion. Switching language in moments like this let her be more accurate and expressive. Finally, she believed that mixing languages is actually a positive personal trait. It shows adaptability and flexibility, but she also pointed out that contexts matter. In a professional setting where only one language is expected, sticking to that language show respect and professionalism. In her own word, it is a skill, but the real professionalism is knowing how and when to use it. So, from her perspective and supported by research, the attitude towards switching languages in Malaysia is largely positive. It's a natural part of communication. It reflects our bilingual identity and it can even enhance how we express ourselves. But like many communication skills, its effectiveness depends on context and audience. Thank you.
From her story, we can see the benefits of bilingualism in action. First, it gives her an expanded communicative range. She can meet the demands of her job in English while comfortably using Malay in her personal life. Second, it offers a cognitive and lexical flexibility. She can choose whether to use the words from either language, be it Malay or English, depending on accuracy or emotional fit. According to her, it's like she prefers the English word overwhelm because it captures the meaning more directly than the Malay equivalent. Third, it grants access to broader cultural and media resources. By engaging with English media, she's expanded her vocabulary, stayed in touch with global trends, and developed a richer cultural perspective. Altogether give benefits to her professional role as an English teacher. In conclusion, the journey of Miss Nur Shahada shows how bilingualism can start as a natural daily practice, grow into a personal preference, and eventually become a professional necessity, at least for her. It proves that bilingual competence doesn't always come from formal teaching and it doesn't require equal skill in both languages. What matters is how you use them in different contexts. She also challenges a common misconception that code switching is a flaw. Instead, she sees it as an adaptive strength, a tool for navigating diverse social situations. For her, bilingualism is more than just a communication skill, it is a bridge between cultures, a professional asset, and a key part of her identity as a Malaysian. Thank you.